They whispered behind the counter. "Look at her arms. What happened to her? She must be a junkie or something." The laughter followed her like a shadow as she poured their coffee. Scars up and down her forearms. Faded ink near her wrist. They saw damage. They never saw the war. But one man, an old soldier in a booth by the window, he didn't laugh. He froze. His hands trembled around his mug, because he recognized the tattoo. And suddenly everything changed. Don't scroll. You need to hear this story. One of silent strength, hidden sacrifice, and a moment that silenced the entire room. Hit that like button if you believe respect should never depend on appearance. And subscribe for more powerful, true-to-life stories like this. Now let's get into it. Jasmine worked the 6 a.m. shift at Mel's Diner. She didn't speak much. Didn't smile unless someone truly earned it. Kept her sleeves down when she could. But the heat that summer was brutal, and eventually the scars showed. Burn marks, jagged lines, and the faded tattoo just below her elbow, a bald eagle wrapped in barbed wire with a number beneath it. Most ignored it. Some whispered. A few laughed cruelly. Y'all better tip her with bandages. One regular chuckled one morning. His buddies roared. Jasmine kept pouring coffee, not flinching. She never defended herself. Didn't have to. That was part of the mystery. She was in her early 30s, maybe younger, beautiful in a tired, weathered way. Thick braids tied back, uniform crisp even if it'd seen better days. Nobody knew where she came from, but everyone thought they knew what she was. Until he walked in. It was a Monday. Rainy. Slow. The old man entered wearing a baseball cap embroidered with the words VFW, Korea, and Iraq. He moved slow, his step stiff, his eyes scanning the room like a man used to threats. Jasmine served him quietly. Black coffee. No cream. "Thank you, miss," he said, voice low but kind. She nodded, turned, and that's when he saw it. The tattoo. Half-faded. Worn, but unmistakable. His eyes widened. He set his cup down and called out, "Excuse me, ma'am, where did you serve?" Jasmine stiffened. A hush fell over the booth nearby. No one had ever asked her that. She turned slowly, met his eyes. "Kiener Province," she said finally. 10th Mountain Division. 2nd Brigade Combat Team. The diner went silent. Even the coffee machine seemed to pause. The old man sat back like someone had punched him in the gut. "I thought that was a man's unit," someone muttered. The veteran shook his head. "That was a combat support team. I lost a leg in Kiener. April 2012. Someone dragged me out of a burning convoy that day. Said it was a woman. I never saw her face. Only the tattoo." He stood up, walked slowly over to Jasmine. "You saved my life," he said, voice breaking. "That was you, wasn't it?" Jasmine didn't cry, didn't smile, just nodded once. The men who laughed earlier, they went pale. One of them tried to speak, but words failed him. The veteran removed his cap. May I shake your hand?" Jasmine looked at him for a long time, then extended her scarred arm. They shook, and everyone knew in that moment, this quiet woman they mocked, she had bled for a country that often looked past her, fought for the very freedoms they used to judge her. But the story didn't end there, because Jasmine had been hiding more than scars. She had a secret that would change her life, and theirs forever. The handshake lingered. Scarred hand to trembling fingers, as if it stitched something broken in both of them. For a long time, no one moved. The booths that once buzzed with jokes and judgment now felt like confessionals. The old vet slowly sat back down, head bowed, not in shame, but in reverence. "I tried to find you," he said quietly. "All these years. Thought I imagined that tattoo. Thought maybe my mind made it up to cope with pain. But it was real. You were real." Jasmine's jaw tightened. "Most days, I wished I wasn't." One of the kitchen staff peeked out. Melissa, the diner's owner, stepped forward, wiping her hands on her apron. "I didn't know you were military, Jazz," she said softly. "You never asked," Jasmine replied, not bitter, just honest. The room sank deeper into silence. It wasn't guilt that hung in the air. It was the uncomfortable truth. No one had ever seen her until now. The regulars who had mocked her a dozen times, the loud group of middle-aged contractors and delivery guys, stared at their plates. One of them got up, walked to the counter, and awkwardly muttered, "Hey, sorry about what I said earlier." Jasmine didn't respond. Not out of pride, but because sorry didn't stitch skin back together. It didn't silence night terrors or erase the feeling of waking up in a Humvee, surrounded by fire and screaming. She turned back to the vet. "You were on convoy Route Iron Eagle, weren't you? April 2012, east of Sadabad." He nodded slowly. "Yeah. You were bleeding out. You didn't see me, but I saw you. Had to drag you past 2 IEDs and a burning engine block." She paused. "You were humming something, Johnny Cash." His face cracked open with emotion. "I always hummed when I thought I was going to die." "You almost did," Jasmine said. He wiped his eyes. "You saved me." The moment pierced deeper than any bullet. It was as if time folded on itself, and the girl they reduced to nothing had just revealed she carried the weight of a war none of them had the courage to ask about. The door opened, and a new customer stepped in, a clean-cut businessman, glancing at the scene and immediately sensing tension. He looked at Jasmine. "You good?" She smiled faintly. "Better than I've been in years." The old vet cleared his throat. "What happened after that day, if you don't mind me asking?" Jasmine hesitated. Then, 2 more tours. A roadside bomb outside Jalalabad. Took out half my squad. Shrapnel tore up my arms and chest. I was in and out of VA hospital for months. Had nightmares so bad I couldn't sleep more than an hour at a time. Came back stateside, and nothing felt like home anymore. She looked down. I applied for a dozen jobs. Got turned down every time. No one wanted a vet with PTSD and visible scars. Ended up here. Not because I'm weak, but because I needed quiet, needed routine, needed a place where nobody asked questions. The diner was silent again, until the vet stood, loud enough for everyone to hear. He said, "You saved me in a war zone. And these folks didn't even offer you respect in a diner." He looked around. "That's not just shameful. That's damn near criminal." Jasmine's lips parted in surprise. Melissa, the owner, stepped forward. "You never told us any of this, Jasmine. If I'd known, would it have changed how you paid me?" Jasmine asked gently, "How people tipped me. How the men at table 5 whispered about my arms." Melissa swallowed. "No, you're right." The veteran reached into his pocket and pulled out a coin, an old, polished challenge coin from the 10th Mountain Division. He placed it on the counter. "My daughter runs a nonprofit for returning vets in New York," he said. "They need strong voices, real leaders, people who've been in the fire. You'd be perfect." Jasmine blinked, stunned. "You want me to speak?" "No," he said. "I want you to lead, train, mentor. You've already done more than most ever will." For the first time in months, maybe years, Jasmine's eyes welled, not from pain, but from recognition. "Can I think about it?" "You've earned all the time you need." As he turned to leave, the regulars who once mocked her stood awkwardly by the door. One of them extended a hand. "Ma'am." Jasmine looked down at it, then back at his eyes. She nodded, barely, and shook it. Later that day, as she wiped down tables and refilled sugar canisters, the buzz of the diner slowly returned. But something had changed, something permanent. They no longer looked at Jasmine as the waitress with the scars. They looked at her as the warrior who'd survived battles they couldn't fathom. And though she would leave the diner weeks later to take up that offer in New York, the lesson she left behind stayed. Sometimes, the strongest people in the room are the ones you never see coming. The city was louder than she remembered. Jasmine stepped out of the train station into the evening buzz of New York. Horns blared. Footsteps echoed. And for a brief second, the chaos almost pulled her back to the front lines. But she steadied herself. She wasn't at war anymore. Not that kind. The vet from the diner, Mr. Avery, met her at the platform, clean-shaven, crisp blazer, walking with a cane but a spirit twice as strong as before. "Welcome to the next chapter," he said, shaking her hand. "You ready?" Jasmine didn't answer. She just nodded and followed him out. The nonprofit's office was inside a renovated firehouse in Brooklyn. Red brick, peeling paint, American flag faded by time. Inside, it felt more like a family than a facility. Posters of service women and men lined the walls. A weight room in one corner, a circle of fold-out chairs in another. Young vets, some barely out of their teens, filled the space with cautious hope. Some were amputees. Others wore invisible wounds on their faces. One had burns up to his chin. Another wouldn't speak at all. Jasmine saw pieces of herself in every one of them. You'll be leading morning drills, Avery explained. PT, tactical leadership, confidence building. We don't call it therapy, but it works better than most therapists. Jasmine raised an eyebrow. You trust me with this much? Avery looked her square in the eye. You've already led in places most people wouldn't survive. This is your turf now. And just like that, the girl who once poured coffee with trembling hands was now calling cadence for men twice her size. Weeks passed. Her reputation grew. She didn't talk much about her past, but the tattoo on her arm did the talking, and the way she moved, like someone who had danced with death and lived to tell about it, made people pay attention. One morning, she noticed a boy, couldn't have been more than 19, sitting alone by the exit, staring blankly. Name? She asked. He didn't respond. Marine? She asked again, softer. He flinched, then nodded. Fallujah, he muttered. Lost my fire team. Came back with medal and nightmares. Jasmine sat beside him. Nightmares don't mean weakness, she said. They mean you remember. He looked up. I don't want to remember. She showed him her arms. I didn't either. The next day, he joined her PT group. Her success reached further than she expected. One morning, the mayor's office called, then the state VA director. Then came the reporters, wanting a story on the scarred black woman who turned pain into purpose. She declined every interview. This isn't about me, she said. It's about the one still bleeding. But she couldn't hide forever. One day, she walked into Main Hall to find a familiar face. Melissa, the diner owner, was standing by the door, holding a small box. I had to see for myself, she said. They say you change lives up here. Jasmine smiled faintly. Still got a few to go. Melissa handed her the box. Inside was a plaque. For Jasmine Rivers, the bravest soul we never truly knew. She didn't cry, but she held the box like it weighed more than any rifle she'd ever carried. Months passed. Jasmine stood taller now, not because her scars had faded, but because she'd stopped hiding them. At a graduation ceremony for a new class of reintegrated veterans, she gave her first public speech. You might think the worst thing about war is the gunfire, she said, but it's not. It's coming home and feeling like you no longer belong anywhere. A pause. Everyone leaned in. But you do belong. You belong here. With us. With the ones who get it. And I promise, if you keep showing up, if you keep choosing life even when it hurts, you'll find your footing again. Standing ovation. Tears. Applause. Salutes. But Jasmine wasn't doing it for the applause. She was doing it for the kid in the back row, gripping the arm of his chair like it was a lifeline. Because she knew that grip, she knew that fight, and she wasn't about to let another soul feel alone the way she once did. One day, as she walked out of the center, a little girl ran up to her. Her mother followed close behind, young, tired, wide-eyed. The mother smiled shyly. My daughter saw you on the wall inside, the one with the tattoo. Jasmine knelt to the girl's height. The child whispered, Are you a hero? Jasmine looked her in the eyes. No, she said softly, but I'm becoming the person I needed when I came home. The girl wrapped her arms around Jasmine's neck, and in that embrace, the war ended a little more. Sometimes the strongest warriors walk among us in silence, bearing scars not for sympathy, but as proof of survival. How many Jasmines have we overlooked? How many people have we misjudged by the surface, never stopping to ask what battles they fought just to stand in the room? If this story moved you, hit that like button right now. Share this video to honor our unsung heroes. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that reveal the strength behind the silence. What would you have done if you were in that diner? Let us know in the comments. We're listening.